hop on and talk about something that has been coming up a lot lately. And one of the things that came up, it came up this way. I got a question, and an artist, Lisa LaRoche Folger, wrote me, and she was talking about executing her ideas. And she was, since my pieces are one of a kind, and I'm using different to do something several times in order for it to come out the way I want. Very time consuming, and I'd like to shorten the time it takes to make a finished piece. I mean, who can't relate to that, right? Like it can feel so hard when it feels like you're in new terrain all the time, and especially when you're starting out. And when you're starting out, everything is new. You pick up a paintbrush, and this kind of paint, it's different. It's all really different. So, hey, Karen, nice to see you here. So I want to speak on this a little bit. If you are having trouble when you're making your work and you're making it harder for yourself because you're trying to do something different every single time now and expect to get a really good result, what ends up happening, and this is what happened to me, is I would try to do something different, but because it's different and I don't know that avenue I'm going down, I end up doing it several times anyway. And what happened to me, and I can tell in the tone in her comment there, that you get tired, you get exhausted, because it's super, super hard to do that, to just completely start over and then start over and start over. So today I'm going to give you some ideas and just talk about how to resolve that and how to get more consistent and be equally experimental and just have more success and have more fun in your work. Hey, Gwen, nice to see you here. Mary, Mary saying, "Oh, this is so me." Yeah, me too, right? Like totally get that. So I want to talk about the difference between, because I encourage people totally to experiment, but experimentation is a different word than result or producing something. Experimentation doesn't have a result except for the fact that you're experimenting, you're just playing. And it's important to experiment. Experimentation is essential for growth. I believe, and this is what I tell people in my workshops, I even set up the workshops like this, that your art, when you start something, you want to have about 10 or 15 minutes to experiment built into your process. So every time you start a painting, no matter what, you're going to take 10 or 15 minutes to just play and experiment. There isn't any end result in this that you're trying to get. You're just trying to experiment. You're just building the surface. You're just experimenting. If you can do this without thinking you're trying to get a result, it's actually really fun. It's how you painted when you were a kindergartner. This trains you to and gives you that guaranteed fun built into your day. But if you come into the studio trying to get a result and you don't get it, or it's hard because the objective is to get the result, your practice starts to get really tiring. So always grab the low-hanging fruit of this experimentation, this playfulness, right? Hey, PJ. Hey, Leslie. So that's one thing. So understanding the difference between experimentation and really art making, producing a painting, they're two different things. They do two different things. Okay, so that's one of the things. Build experimentation in there. Now, if you are trying to make many different things different every time, it can be challenging because you're presenting yourself with new things every time. And that's sort of exciting. It's kind of like experimenting, but you've got all this pressure to get the results. And when you don't get them, you're disappointed. So keep the experimentation to the side and do that anyway. But if you have a direction in your work that you're interested in, just choose one of them, right? Choose one of them to develop and spend more time on and kind of go deeper. For example, if you're, you know, they're all warm and you want to go just maybe change a little something about it, keep in that vein, stay in it, stack the benefit of your experience on the first one. Does that make sense? You're doing not just one, but you're iterating off of that one that you did before. This doesn't mean that you can't do different kinds of work, but if you're doing different kinds of work at every single time you're doing a painting, it's exhausting, and your results, you're not getting benefit from what came before. And it's tiring, and it defeats you a little bit. And I see this question come up a lot. I also see the question coming up about my style and what is my work, who am I? And when I was starting out, and when a lot of starting out, trying on the different coats, so to speak, they're trying on different things. Unfortunately, that's such a hard way to go, because you don't ever figure anything out, because you're trying on all these different ways of working, because you're thinking there's some golden, there's some magic bullet that's going to like work. And it doesn't. What works is starting with something that feels kind of good. All the things you do, you don't even have to get it right. You don't even have to pick the right one, but just one that's pretty good. And spending some time on that thing, and maybe do 5 or 6 pictures based upon that theme. It's way cool, because you then can track your benefit. The first one you do is going to be crappy. The second one, if you're looking at the crappy one, you have more information to figure out what to do next. And by the time you're on the third or fourth one, you haven't changed. Sizes of the paintings probably the same. The subject matter or the color palette or whatever it is, the general things that you're using in that particular avenue of your work, you keep the same. Don't change everything. Believe me, you will have very crazy just because you're going to be hit and miss. But don't change everything all the time. Hey, Sally, nice to see you here. She's saying you got my attention when you talk about having fun. Good. Hey, Caroline. Hi. So the idea is to do an experimental 10-minute warm-up each time. Yeah, that's another way to phrase it, a warm-up. So what's going to happen with the warm-up is that when you're warming up, when you're painting and you're not trying, that's when you're experimenting. That's when you're in a rush. That's when you're trying to, when it happens to me is when I'm demonstrating to people. I can't even pay attention. I'm trying to just show like, yeah, we put these colors on and do this. So often when you're demonstrating something or you're just having fun, whatever the thing, if you're not focused on an outcome, this is when your soul and your intuition step up, because there's no roadmap for you. And so what you have is your intuition. And that is what makes amazing work. Now, I'm not saying to experiment to create amazing work, but that's how I do it. Like that's an outcome that comes out of experimenting and being intuitive and having just freedom. You will discover things in your work and parts of your painting that are amazing, just without even trying. It's the not trying that gives you the results. That's the lesson that we're going to learn by doing this experimental part, by giving up on trying to do 27 home runs that are all different. Like, who can do that? That's really, really hard. So give yourself a break and stay in one avenue. Definitely experiment in the first part of all your work as for sure. That's going to give you that, the reason people like doing different things, making finished paintings all the time, different finished paintings, is because they get bored of the one thing they've done and they jump around, they move on to different things, looking for things that are going to wake them up and get them more excited. But what I'm saying is that the answer and the excitement comes from stacking and doing one thing, not changing everything, and then doing another variation of that, and then doing another variation of that. And this is the classic, a classic example of this is if I say to you guys, I want you in an hour to write an essay. It's got to, and you have, an hour, go. Like that's really hard because the whole world's there. But if I say, write an essay about an apple, suddenly you can be so much more creative. Does that make sense? Move the goalpost. In fact, you could write a whole book about an apple, and you start creating. You have some leeway there. So it's kind of a misconception that if we narrow in a little bit, that somehow we're going to produce less work, or we won't be as interested. And it's quite the opposite. It becomes even more interesting the more deep you go. So instead of going really broad and shallow on everything, go more deep and more narrow. Does that make sense? It's kind of cool. Like, and guess what? When you do that, the work kind of hangs together better, more. People can understand it from the outside. Not that that's why you're trying to do that, but your style and the way you work, the way you solve a problem 5 times will be really understandable, first to you and then to other people that are looking at it, buyers, galleries. The way you solve those visual problems, the way the problems we're solving is, how can I make art that feels amazing for me? How can I do that, right? That problem, if you repeat and you narrow the focus down, you can see it there. And then guess what? You can do that little series, and then when you've swum in that pond for a while, you're really ready to move to the next pond and go into something else. But you've got some history there because you've repeated yourself. You've seen the same thing show up a bunch of times in your work. God, every single time on the last 4 paintings, I've made a painting with the shapes on the bottom are way too big. It's bottom heavy. Everything I've done today in the last week is bottom heavy. I've realized it now. I didn't see it until I did it 6 times. Now on my next body of work, I'm going to change the compositions. I'm going to make the compositions X. And then you start going down that road. Crystal saying, I'm going to apply this. Cool, Crystal. That's great. I love that you happen to be here. It's helpful. That's encouraging. You're saying I was all over the place until I broke my wrist. The universe gave me an opportunity to narrow down what I was doing, and it's been great. God, that's so interesting. Yeah. I had an Achilles surgery, and I don't know if you guys remember this. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I had to have my leg. I was in this crutch thing, and it was like a peg leg, but I wasn't on crutches because I couldn't paint, but I tied. It's this certain device you can get, and you basically stand on your knee and you lash it to your thigh, and you can like walk like Captain Cook. So I could keep painting, but it made me changed the way I worked. I couldn't do all the things and I had to hold the brush further at the end because it was all on this crutch, and it made the work thing. So I totally get that. By limiting ourselves, you can go deeper. So yeah, and I agree. I find that I do amazing. And today I'm driving to the studio. I'm in a total rush, and I never have enough time. And then I'm side route that I normally take, which saves time. But I'm right on the water, and the tide gets really high. And today, the tide was so high, the water was covering the road, and you don't have this sign there, and you don't want to go through it because it's kind of deep, but it's salt, and it will destroy your car, like it erodes it. So I had to stop, turn around. I had to go the long way, but I lost about 10 minutes. And it was just really, it was like, what am I doing? Trying to be so I could have just gone to work the normal way. And I lost all this time because I was rushing. Open my and Maisie hops out, and she's she's getting really old now, and she is going so slow. I mean, it's driving me nuts. She has to sniff everything, and just like get from the parking lot into the studio in under 10 minutes anymore. Like, she's not having any of it. She's just like, nope, I'm gonna sniff this, and then I'm going to stand here. So it's killing me, but that's that. Um, They say you're hitting the nail on my head. That's funny. I keep trying new things to find the one I'm best at. Thank you again. Yeah, the one thing you're best at is the 10th one that you've done in a series. That's what it is. You develop that strength by hang out with one thing for a while. I mean, that's the basic message of this. And certainly for beginners, I know every single kind of art material. And the reason is because I tried every different kind of art material because I thought I was a watercolor artist. Then I thought I was an encaustic artist, an oil painter, rapidographs, Prismacolor pencils, felt pens, charcoal. I did all of it in the search for my style. I mean, I ended up a lot of different things, but that wasn't the answer. I just had to stop and I could have figured out just with acrylic paint. I need to do all that. So I'm the same thing. PJ saying my word is complete. I have to finish my work, not stop and be all over the place. Yeah, there's something great about that. Just spending the time, and completion's hard because it takes time. But what I'm talking about, building a little series, actually saves you a lot of time, because again, it's like walking the same road every week. You understand where the barking dog is, you understand the shortcut, you understand where the fruit tree is, you wire it, you kind of figure it out. And then when you do the same walk every day, you start noticing nuances, you start becoming more sophisticated, sensitive, discerning more, being out in the world, which is exactly when you're doing the same walk with your paintings, you're discerning more in your paintings. And guess what? You're getting better because you're getting more sensitive. That's what people are paying by your work. That's why people can charge more for their work. The level of discernment is more and more refined. We're all improving in our ability to choose. We are getting, hopefully, more sensitive to our surroundings and to each other and to the world. And we're artists, and we translate this. We show the rest of the world that's just busy running around what they're missing. And there's tremendous value in that. And I don't have to tell you guys that. You understand that. But that's why people buy our work, right? Leslie's saying, Stacy's saying, I'm really struggling with composition. Limits are key for me with that. Stacy, and I want to promote a workshop, December 14th, Valentine's Day. If you have up for this free workshop, Stacy, you got to come to this. I'm going to be into composition, design, value, color. I'm going to be doing the video lesson this week, on that week, but I'm also going to be doing live trainings, artists in the Arts Life Artists Facebook group, and I'm going to be doing it in the studio. So there's a whole bunch of training, so we can really improve position. Something like, it's like people right? Look, it's just someone just needs to show you, and I think I can really help you with that. So if you up at the banner of this, you can up this page, you can join, so you'll get notified of that. On right now, I was doing it this morning, the workbook that's going to come along with each of these lessons. So it's going to be kind of cool. You download some stuff, some practice with, and you can apply to your work. Okay. Anyway, it reminded me, I'm like, part of the reason I'm here is to let people know. Leslie's saying, so interested to hear about your illustration. I have a broken leg and I'm in a wheelchair. Wow. So many changes to my approach. Narrow and deeper focus. Yeah. I don't know if you experienced one of the things that kind of blew me away about being handicapped, really, it was for 6 weeks, 2 months, was people treated you like they crutches. So what I had, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a crutch thing that tied to my leg, and I couldn't stand on my right foot, and then my knee would bend, and it would sit in this little sling, but this wooden peg leg, and I could, once it's tied onto your thigh really, you can kind of walk on stilts. It's not my left leg, and you get really around. But walking around like that and going into restaurants, farmers markets, I was kind of amazed at how people treated me. Some people avoided me. Other people were really, they would open doors, but they would look at me. I just, the attention, both good and bad, I never could forget that I had this challenge, because everyone was finding about it because I was different. And I just realized how hard it must be. Mine was just temporary, but for somebody, who has lost a limb or something, like they can forget about it, but the world reminds you of it constantly. And I had a lot of empathy for people that, it's a full-on thing. It really affects you. I don't know that, Leslie, if you felt that, but now if you're the broken leg, yeah. So I think this crutch probably wouldn't work for that, but yeah, you have to kind of be quieter. You got to work smaller. I always think of Monet. I think it is in his bed, and he's got a stick and he's drawing on the ceiling, when he's laying in bed. So there is things we can do, but that extension using mark making tools on a stick is really great from a seated position or whatever. So, and then you can work large, and it's actually a great exercise. Okay, cool. Nice to see you here. Anne says, "Oh, you're speaking to me. When I get stuck, I start browsing art supplies." Totally. Yeah, I'm the same way. I cannot tell you. I just bought so many art supplies 2 nights ago. I've really gotten into these oil sticks, and you can buy them. R&F Paints makes these oil sticks, but they're really fat. They're like 1 1/4 inches, and I've been using them on my painting, and they've got all these amazing colors. And I just bought a ton of them, and I'm giving a little talk tomorrow to 50 people that are coming to the studio, and I'm kind of nervous about it. And I realized that my paint's kind of smelly, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not going to. All my paintings are really large, and I'm going to demonstrate. So I'm hoping oil sticks come early, so because I don't want to. The paint's really smelly. So yeah, buying art supplies like crazy. Okay, cool, Stephanie. Thanks for that. Okay, no, yeah, everyone's agreed. We have that too. Yep. Okay, Caroline saying, I discovered watercolor incapacitated myself a couch studio with YouTube. Now I have the 2 loves, big dynamic easel, acrylic, and more intimate water. That would be an interesting question to post, like, or were limited in some way. How did it help your? Because that's a really interesting. I think it definitely, hurts sometimes. What it does is it forces you to work in a new way. So that's pretty cool. Gwen saying she has an endless art supply, table tennis blades. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a sign of enthusiasm. So Jennifer, yeah, there's a call at 1 o'clock for those in the CVP alumni. We're doing a call at 1 o'clock. Now, what am I doing here? Oh my God. But I guess I'm just warming up. So yeah, we have a call at 1 CVP alumni, the folks coming back into the Creative Visionary. Again, if you're interested in the free arts workshop, it starts December 14th, and it goes for a week. And then at the end of that, we have an opportunity to join in the Art to Life Creative Vision It's a whole learning experience. It's 3 months long, huge deal. And we've got about a third of the alumni coming back into the program again. One of the things we do with alumni, for those of you who aren't in it, is it's all about setting intentions. And so we do a special call just for those people who are coming back into the Creative Visionary program to talk about what their work needs to become like, and how can they do this program, the Creative Visionary program, a second time in the most effective, efficient, powerful way. So anyway, you guys, looking forward to seeing you, talking to you more. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to share that little idea because I've just been getting a lot of questions around different styles and the frustration that certainly a lot of beginners feel around doing a whole bunch of different things each time you do it. Give that up. Do one thing for a while and do a bunch of the one thing, and you'll have more success, fun, and you'll actually grow quicker, which is cool. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.